This was materialized by Sai Baba in early 1970. It was my first visit to Baba, and the day before I was to leave, he looked at me and he acknowledged that I was leaving, and then with his hand made that motion, closed his fist, and when he opened it, there it was.
As a diamond glows, so shall the light on the tower of the Lord, the prophet of the new age. One stone on his finger is worth more than all the world's treasures. Even those who by accident help the teachings of the prophet will receive in return 100-fold. Already many warriors of the teaching of truth are reborn. Only a few years shall elapse before everyone shall hear the mighty steps of the Lord of the new era.
This same sun has risen on all the religions of man since the beginning of time. It has watched them rise to heights of inspiration and devotion and descend to competition for the sake of power, influence, and riches, while the proponents of each claim for themselves the only God and the only way. Looking back through history, we can see how each religion grew out of a particular time and set of circumstances in an attempt to satisfy mankind's desire to reconnect with the source of the universe. Now comes a teacher whose vision transcends the factionalism of the past to tell the world that all faiths are facets of the truth, all are tributes to its glory. The name of Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba is often spoken of in the context of the miraculous. Here, however, we will focus on his message, a message which speaks to the nature of God, man, religion, and every aspect of the universe we live in. Sai Baba's message is universal, yet specific, ancient yet timeless, and through it, people of all faiths are coming to see their own religion in the light of a larger truth. They are coming to experience the revitalization of spirit, which comes from the expansion of consciousness and the release of fear and negativity. They are finding the joy of discovery that the power of God's love exists in all faiths. Sai Baba's message is being received by people of all ages, at all levels of education and sophistication, and at every economic level. It is being taught through schools, universities, discourses, books, and films, and through the personal contact of his presence, spoken or in silence. The setting remains the same, Prasanthi Nilayam, in English, the abode of highest peace, an ashram in South India where Sathya Sai Baba walks daily among those who have come to ask, through letters or unspoken prayers, for help and inspiration.
ప్రేమ స్వరూపులారా, ఈనాటి బాలబాలికలకు పవిత్రమైన మన భారతీయ సంస్కృతిని వారి హృదయానికి చేర్చడానికి తగిన ప్రయత్నం చేయాలి.
Whom the Muslims adore as Allah, the Christians as Jehovah, the Hindus as Shiva. The one God is the God of all mankind. Religions attempt to implant holy ideals in the heart of man, but man does not allow them to grow. His egoistic craving for power and competitive success has in most cases persuaded him to use religion as an instrument of torture and persecution. Instead of uniting mankind in a common endeavor, it has become a system of walled enclosures, guarded by hate and fanaticism. Religion, therefore, is being condemned as the root of chaos and conflict, and religious animosity is a flame in the world. It has to be emphasized that religion is not the root cause of this state of affairs. The fights and fanatic hatred are due to the unruly ego that is given free play. Religion strives to destroy just this vicious tendency, so it has to be supported, not condemned. What has to be condemned is the narrow, perverted attitude of hating those who do not agree with us or who hold different opinions of the mysterious force that animates the universe. The process of splitting into diverse viewpoints has taken place in all the major religions. Islam has the Shia and the Sunni sects. Christianity has its Catholics and Protestants. Hinduism has the sects of Vishnu and Shiva. But however deep the cleavage, no sect denies God, and no sect extols violence and falsehood. Names may be different, the facets may be different, but the Almighty Providence is denoted as absolute and eternal. The terminology may be different, but the concept is not. The Lord is referred to as Bhagavan, as Allah, as Jehovah, but the undercurrent of energizing power in all cases is love. Love of all beings toward all beings. The founders of each religion had ever in view the unity of all life and the progressive march of mankind from mere humanness to the heights of divinity.
The love toward all beings that flows from Sathya Sai Baba has been drawing people to him for more than 40 years. Its magnetic appeal is even experienced by the animals at the ashram. The ashram is situated next to the rural South Indian village of Puttaparthi, where Sathya Sai Baba was born. It was here that Sai Baba, at the age of 14, revealed he was the reincarnation of a saint known as Sai Baba of Shirdi. Sai Baba of Shirdi had lived in an area of western India where Hindus and Muslims existed amidst constant strife. One result of his presence was to successfully create harmony between them. As Sathya Sai Baba, his scope has widened to promote harmony among followers of all faiths. There are many signs of this within the ashram, and now in the village of Puttaparthi, Sai Baba has constructed this mosque for the followers of Islam who come to him. The actual Sai Baba's birthplace, a house which formerly stood here, went unmarked until 1979, when a temple was built on the same location. The opening ceremony was presided over by Vedic pundits, chanting traditional mantras, and Sai Baba also attended. In speaking about the nature of humanity, Sai Baba has said,
"Your reality is the soul, a wave of the supreme universal soul. The one object of this human existence is to visualize that reality, that soul. Mankind is endowed with two special gifts, the faculty of reasoning, and the faculty of analysis and synthesis. Use these gifts for discovering the truth of yourself, which is the truth of everyone else, of everything else. The Vedic scriptures are the earliest testaments of the victory of man over himself and his discovery of the underlying unity in all creation. They declare God is the inner reality of all beings. All this is enveloped by God. All this is God. How does this principle express itself in mankind? As spiritual love. Love is the basic nature that sustains and strengthens the resolve to march ahead. Without love, mankind is blind, and the world will be a dark and fearsome jungle. The scriptures also laid down 4 goals: morality, wealth, desire, liberation. They teach that mankind must earn wealth through the path of righteousness, and that there should be only one desire, the desire for liberation. Now, humanity is drowning itself in desires, the fulfillment of which can never quench the deeper thirsts. The widespread anxiety, fear, and unrest evident all over the world are the consequences of this mistaken course.
For children, Sai Baba has directed the establishment of a Bal Vikas program called Education in Human Values. This program is, for the children, an education in those values of truth, righteousness, peace, and love, which are central to all religious teachings and the sole property of none. The children of various faiths are taught to know and respect the beliefs of others while practicing their own. And one day a year, a teachers' conference is held and representative groups of children come to Prasanthi Nilayam for Baba's darshan. To the children, Sai Baba says,
The human body, so filled with skills, so capable of great adventures, is a gift from God to each of you. It has to be used as a raft on which you can cross this never-calm sea of change that lies between birth and death, bondage and liberation. Awaken to this primal duty when your physical and mental faculties are keen. Do not postpone the launching of the raft, for it may become unserviceable soon. It may be burdened with illness, so that all your attention will have to be spent on its upkeep. Think of the incomparable joy that will surge within you when you approach the shore of liberation. Ride safe on the raging waters of life. Be a witness. Do not crave for the fruit of action. Leave the consequence of all acts to God's will. He is the doer. You are but the instrument. Pursue nobler ends. Have grander ideals. Sensory pleasures are trivialities. Saints and sages have discovered the disciplines that will keep you unaffected by defeat or victory, loss or gain. Learn them. Practice them. Establish yourself in unruffled peace.
Parents, teachers, and children, he says,
In homes and schools, training of the minds of the young on these lines has to be taken up earnestly by teachers and parents. Of course, they must equip themselves for this work by steady practice in meditation and repetition of the name of God. The purpose of living is to achieve living in God. Everyone is entitled to that consecration and consummation. You are the truth. Do not lose faith. Do not belittle yourselves. You are divine. I have come to light the lamp of love in your hearts, to see that it shines day by day with added luster. I have not come to speak on behalf of any particular religion, like the Hindu religion. I have not come on any mission of publicity for any sect or creed or cause, nor have I come to collect followers for any doctrine. I have no plan to attract disciples into my fold or any fold. I have come to tell you of this universal unitary faith, this atmic principle, this path of love, this duty of love, this obligation to love. All religions teach one basic discipline, the removal from the mind of the blemish of egoism, of little joys. Every religion teaches man to fill his being with the glory of God and evict the pettiness of conceit. It trains followers in methods of detachment and discrimination so that they may aim high and attain liberation. Believe that all hearts are motivated by the one and only God, that all faiths glorify the one and only God, that all names in all languages and all forms man can conceive denote the one and only God. Adoration is best done by means of love. Cultivate that attitude of oneness between people of all creeds, all countries, and all continents. That is the message of love I bring. That is the message I wish you to take to heart.
At this conference, students from the Sathya Sai Vidya Vihar, an elementary boarding school in the former British hill station of Uttikamund, as well as the Baldika students from all over India, performed as Sai Baba watched from the audience.
The motto of our school is, we must always speak the truth. Our actions must be dharmic. The second part of the motto of our school is duty, discipline, devotion. Satya dharma ka path karenge, शांति प्रेम से काम करेंगे, हाथी।
In this scene, the children are portraying characters from the epic poem, the Ramayana.
The Ramayana is a guidebook, a sacred text, an inspiring scripture for every man in all lands, whatever his creed or condition might be. It imparts poise, balance, equanimity, inner strength, and peace. Peace is the best treasure, without which power, authority, fame, and fortune are all dry and burdensome. Duty is God. That is the lesson the Ramayana teaches. The word duty is now used to indicate the methods by which one exercises his authority. No. Duty is the responsibility you have to respect and revere others and to serve them to the best of your ability. To exercise your freedom so that you do not limit or harm the freedom of others, that is the duty, which becomes worship.
Schools for students of all ages and colleges for men and women have been established under the Sathya Sai Education Trust. Students in these schools study the arts, commerce, science, and history. They also study the larger truths which give new meaning to the knowledge which comes from books. In the years since the dedication of the Sathya Sai College for Women in 1971, 5 additional colleges have opened. A recent development is the accreditation of the Sai College system by the Government of India as a university, to be called the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. This is the first university system to be accredited since India achieved independence in 1947. And it is highly significant that the Sri Sathya Sai Institute for Higher Learning is actively reawakening the spiritual values of the country's past for the benefit of the students who are its future.
In order to rise to the full height of his glorious destiny, the only quality mankind has to strive for is spiritual love. Man is not a mere bundle of skills and acquisitions. Man has in him the yearning and the capacity to proceed from the narrow circle of I to the wide horizon of we. The human essence in man is divine. Man has been enslaved by money. He lives a superficial, hollow, artificial life. This is indeed a great pity. Man should seek to possess only as much money as is most essential for his living. The quantity of riches one must own can be compared to the shoes one wears. If too small, they cause pain. If too big, they are a hindrance while walking. What is the proof for having learnt these lessons? The proof lies in wholehearted service, in sweetness of speech, which reveals the divinity in man. The next step is hard work. The third step is prayer, that yearning one experiences to awaken the divinity latent in the heart.
Whether at Prasanthi Nilayam or at the college at Brindavan near the city of Bangalore, Sai Baba's example of service is a daily occurrence. Here, food is being distributed to some of the needy in the area.
There are some who observe strict discipline in spiritual practices. This is good, but do not stick to that timetable even when you have a call to help some person whose need is great. If you give up your meditation and serve, you will benefit more from the service than what you may have gained from the meditation.
Speaking with the children, Sai Baba continues morning darshan.
Resolve to be good, lovable children from this moment. Do your duties gladly and well to the satisfaction of your well-wishers. If you feel sorry for the wrongs you did, that in itself will please God, and he will pardon you. If you endeavor to turn and become better, God will shower grace on you. Here you are given protection and education and an opportunity to learn how to be useful sons and daughters. Whenever an idea of hurting others or taking someone else's belongings or spreading falsehood about others enters your mind, turn to God for help. Ask him to give you strength. For all these ideas are born of fear and cowardice, qualities which in turn come from weakness. Repeat the name of God or hum a bhajan song, and you will find that all your bad thoughts will have fled, leaving you free from evil. Begin life anew from tomorrow. Revere the world as divine. Do not underestimate it as unholy. The scriptures say, all that is seen or heard is God. The inner world and the outer world are both immersed in God. Prayer must emerge from the effect to the cause. The individual self has to yearn for the supreme self. It must emerge from a pure heart. The drinking cup must be clean both on the outside and the inside. Prayer should not arise out of the tongue as music rises out of a phonograph record. When the song does not come from your depth, when you are not involved in it, how can it draw God unto you? Yourself must achieve confidence. Then that self-confidence will lead to self-sacrifice and self-realization. Man means he who marches from the status of self towards the all-inclusive self, from the individual soul to the universal soul. Towards the success of that march, all nature can provide advice and guidance. The real teacher one must rely upon is nature, saturated with God. God does not teach directly. He teaches through nature which surrounds us. When we teach letters of the alphabet to children, we pronounce them loudly and at the same time write them on a slate. God has written on every speck of nature. That is the from which we have to learn of him. So do not renounce the world or condemn nature. Do not restrict the God of the universe to any one name and form. Love all names and forms. Love is the highest virtue. Develop love by sharing it. Revere the universe as your teacher. Expand your love worldwide. That is the message I wish to give you. Love is the form of God. God is love divine. The merger of human love with divine love brings about cosmic order.
In part 1 of The Universal Teacher, we heard Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba reach beyond the divisions of history and the polarities of the present to proclaim that God is one, the God of all mankind, no matter what religion is practiced. That religion is not the cause of hatred in the world, but that it is the human ego which divides and separates. Beyond the illusion of the ego lies the experience of unity, unity with the God within us, with other people, and ultimately with the world around us. The road leading beyond the ego is paved with love, love expressed as selfless service to others. In 1980, the Third World Conference of Sathya Sai service organizations convened at Prasanthi Nilayam, Baba's ashram, with delegates representing 3,000 service units from India and foreign delegates representing 40 nations. While the activities of the organization take many forms, the underlying attitude of service is constant, and it is continually being fostered by Sathya Sai Baba through personal examples and by writings, discourses, and the daily experience of darshan as he walks the crowds, accepting the letters and silent prayers of those who have come to him, asking for help and guidance in their individual spiritual journey. Sai Baba's philosophy is expressed as having 4 aspects: Satya, Dharma, Shanti, and Prema. Satya, or truth; Dharma, translated as duty, righteousness, the truth in action; Shanti, peace, the equanimity of the mind unaffected by joy or sorrow; and Prema, spiritual love, the kind of love which allows one to revere the God dwelling within another person, rather than the body where he resides. Any of these 4 paths may be the starting point for the journey toward liberation, for they all lead to the goal and merge into it.
ప్రేమ స్వరూపులారా, ముఖ్యంగా ఈనాటి బాలబాలికలకు
The task before mankind is to plant the seeds of truth, righteousness, peace, and love in the heart made ready for their reception. But never before has this become an organized movement in which all humanity was involved. Unless it becomes so, there can be no liberation from fear, anxiety, and injustice. The members of this Sai organization must be ever engaged in the twin processes of purifying the mind and clarifying the intellect. The organization must help people to realize the unity behind all this apparent multiplicity, which is only a superimposition by the human mind on the one that is all this. Truth about oneself is to be learned first. When man knows that he is the indestructible, eternal soul, he is freed from fear. Truth can shine forth only from a purified mind and a clarified intellect. Equanimity is the path to reach unity. Not only the ultimate merger in the absolute, but even peace and security in the daily process of living depend upon this quality of equanimity. The effort to gain equanimity is the hardest but the most beneficial of all spiritual disciplines. Without equanimity, life becomes an uncertain game, a constant struggle with fear, hope, anxiety, and doubt. Equanimity has to be achieved in 5 fields: the physical, the social, the karmic, the emotional, and the intuitive. In the physical field, man must learn to be unaffected by seasonal changes of the weather. His body must be immune to the vagaries of heat and cold. Both are valid and valuable. So too are grief and joy, pleasure and pain. Man must realize this and be unaffected by changes in natural or mental weather. In the social field, man must acclimatize himself to praise and blame. Blame is only the shadow of praise. He cannot have one without the other. Profit and loss, success and failure are the obverse and reverse of the same experience. Man has to establish firmly in his inmost consciousness this basic truth about the impact of social conditions on him. He must learn to watch the passing show as the sun watches the procession of clouds below, trying to hide its splendor. The third field is karmic. The law of cause and consequence brings about birth and death. It is inevitable. Every act must result in some consequence sooner or later. Men are born, they live and die as a result of the impact of actions done in previous lives. The impressions of the past on the present cannot be wiped off, except with the grace of God. The future is molded by the activities of the present. People list the causes of death, but the only relevant cause is ignored. That is birth. All that is born has to die. All that is put together has to disintegrate. The fourth field is the emotional. The feelings of devotion lead man to the realization that the Lord is all-powerful and all-pervading. So one should not complain when things go wrong, or appropriate the credit when things go right. Devotion must confer equanimity, because the devotee sees his favorite form of the Lord in every being. He knows that the Lord is the inner resident of all beings, and so whatever happens is his will. The fifth field is the intuitive. The inner vision of the one who follows the path of reason and discrimination tells him that there is only one, and not two. So all dual attitudes and opinions are false and misleading. There is just one energy or consciousness in all beings. So long as the consciousness of I and mine persists, the one in all cannot be recognized. Equanimity can be earned only by giving up duality. Many people want to get the divine vision of the Lord, but it is not possible to attain this vision, this divine state, just by wanting to do so. There are 4 entrances to the Lord's mansion of bliss, and the watchmen who guard the entrances are self-control, inquiry, contentment, and detachment. The first watchman is control of the inner sensory organs. It is the inner senses that provoke the external organs. Controlling the inner senses is a difficult matter, but if we are able to do this, we can easily control the external organs. The second entrance is guarded by inquiry. The ability to separate the good from the bad is essential to man. We should first distinguish between the permanent and transient things. When you say, "This is my body," it is clear that you are different from your body. Therefore, it becomes quite clear that you are the soul and not merely the body. The body itself has no wisdom, but the God who lives in the body has all wisdom. As your discriminating power arising out of this wisdom grows and you realize the divinity of the soul, you will automatically get self-satisfaction or contentment. He who is a satisfied person is rich, and he who has many desires is poor. Whether we meet with sorrow or with happiness, we should be satisfied and regard it as God's gift in our own interest, and develop a spirit of satisfaction and equal-mindedness. The fourth entrance to the Lord's mansion of bliss is guarded by detachment. Once a person is satisfied, he will naturally get detachment. This detachment should not be something you get when you do not possess anything. When a person has all the comforts and all the wealth, and in the full understanding of their transient nature gives up these material acquisitions, then it can be termed detachment. Do not make the distinction of saying this belongs to you and that belongs to God. In reality, everything belongs to God, and you should develop such a feeling. Therefore, it can be said, if you acquire self-control, you can easily develop inquiry or discrimination. Through this, you can develop the aspect of satisfaction. And then, even without your knowing or making an effort, you will get detachment. And you will be able to enter the house of the Lord and experience the bliss of his divinity.
See, today morning, I give darshan, special for you. Every day, to give you darshan. Early morning, Nagar Sankirtan time. Only this. This is my duty. My work.
The World Conference in 1980 was the third event of its kind to include representatives from around the world. These conferences serve as the basis of a growing support system for the centers and service organizations in India as well as abroad. They provide the opportunity for devotees to share experiences and to meet fellow devotees with different nationalities, different religious backgrounds, different languages, and different lifestyles. A world conference at Prasanthi Nilayam is a time for celebration and the tradition of ancient ceremony. Sai Baba's message is present everywhere at such a time, especially in the purpose and attitude of the devotees. Here, statues representing Shiva, or the divine powers of creation and destruction, are taken in procession from the prayer hall of the ashram to the temple in the village. Here, Sai Baba opens an exhibit of photographs depicting activities from various centers around the world.
This small room, my heart is very big. Very big. Thank you, He's plate, complete plate. What is that? Today, tomorrow, always happy. Happiness is union with God. Happiness is union with God. Yes.
There is no one word in the English language equivalent to the Sanskrit word for Dharma. The concept of Dharma comes to us from the most ancient scriptures known to man, and is also another pillar of Sai Baba's message. The first pillar, Satya or truth, reveals the nature of man and his universe. The second pillar, Dharma, sets forth the context within which man may appropriately live his life for the purpose of realizing God. Dharma, therefore, means righteousness, duty, morality, virtue, justice, the discovery of the proper path of one's life, the ideals of a higher life. Each of us has a Dharma, a path, and the discovery of that path and the goal of liberation to which it leads is the reason for living. A Dharma is in accordance with righteousness. An adharmic or non-dharmic act is in opposition to the flow of mankind's peaceful evolution toward God.
Man must dedicate himself to Dharma and be engaged always in Dharma so that he may live in peace and the world may enjoy peace. In all worldly activities, you should be careful not to wound propriety or the canons of good nature. You should not play false to the promptings of the inner voice. You should be prepared at all times to respect the appropriate dictates of conscience. You must be ever vigilant to discover the truth behind all this scintillating variety. This is the entire duty of man, your Dharma. Every unselfish act which prepares the ground for the merging of the soul with the oversoul, which broadens the vision toward the basic God immanent everywhere, is a dharmic act. Each such act is a tiny stream that swells the river of holiness rushing toward the sea of absolute God realization. Your acts and activities are all rituals in the worship of the supreme God that pervades the universe. Whatever is done in an attitude of dedication and surrender is a component of the Dharma which leads to realization. Dharma cannot be restricted to any particular society or nation, for it is closely bound with the fortunes of the entire living world. It is a flame of light that can never be extinguished. It is not for any particular caste, religion, or nation. It is the very breath for humans everywhere. People refer to various duties, rights, and obligations, but these are not the basic truth of Dharma. They are only means and methods of regulating the complications of living. They are not fundamental. All these moral codes and approved behaviors are prompted by the need to cater to two types of creatures, two types of natures, the masculine and the feminine. They connote gross and subtle, inert and conscious, the all-pervading duet. All creation came about by the interrelation of the inert and conscious. So too, all the various mores have emerged on account of this bifurcation. All this ramification and elaboration of Dharma is due to this, the masculine and feminine. Therefore, the chief Dharma for the practical progress of the world is the moral conduct and behavior of these two. Dharma has no prejudice or partiality. It is imbued with truth and justice. Name and fame, honor and dishonor, vice and wickedness, good and bad, are all equal and uniform for both men and women. There is no such thing as women alone being bound by the rules of Dharma. Just as a woman should consider one person as her husband, man too has to be faithful to one woman as his wife. Man must honor his wife as an embodiment of the feminine aspect of God and act in accordance with her wishes. Then only can he deserve the status of man. So too, she has to consider her husband as an embodiment of the masculine aspect of God and minister to him and follow his desires for the fulfillment of her duty. Women are the backbone of progress, the heart of the nation. They play the chief role in the dharma of life here on earth. Woman's mission is to lay down the canons of rightness and morality. No nation can be built except on the culture of its women. They must provide children with moral and spiritual training. When the mother is imbued with dharma, the children get the benefit. When she is skilled in morals, the children learn to be moral. The level of education among women decides whether a country is to prosper or decline. Her acts and conduct are crucial factors. I do not declare that women should not be educated. Whatever they study, if they are endowed with good qualities, accompanied by dharmic actions and spiritual disciplines, then their study is really worthwhile, and society is indeed benefited. Mankind has to adhere to dharma. He has to see that he never goes against it. The path of dharma requires that men and women give up hatred against others and cultivate mutual concord and amity, through which the world will grow day by day into a place of happiness. If you are careless about the discipline of truth, every duty laid on you by dharma and every action prompted by righteousness will hang heavy as a burden. Search for the reality behind all the worldly phenomena, and that search will make all righteous acts light and pleasant. The Lord has so shaped man that he is inclined towards God, delighted at the expansion of his vision, and happy when he is moral and virtuous. So man must serve his own best interests by adhering to his basic nature, by concentration on God, by the cultivation of truth, and by practice of dharma. These principles of dharma will not change to suit the convenience of mankind. Dharma is immutable. Dharma persists as dharma, then, now, and forever.
A world conference at Prasanthi Nilayam is a time for ceremony. It is also a time for introspection and rededication. The goal of the organization is to help all people realize the unity behind the apparent multiplicity of God's creation, realize not as a remote mental exercise, but to make real through education and the awareness born of the actual experience of serving others, which then can grow to eventually permeate and encompass the mind, the senses, the emotions, the intuition, every aspect of the human being. This organization serves as the field on which one's individual efforts to realize and manifest the true self are allowed to play themselves out in a mutually supportive context. It does not erect barriers or hierarchies between the individual and God. On the contrary, the very foundation of its existence is in the recognition that God is the indwelling life and energy at the core of everyone and everything. At the opening ceremony of the World Conference, the universality of Sai Baba's message was acknowledged in the presentation of new translations of his writings in Chinese, Japanese, Italian, Spanish, Swedish, and in the presentation of a collection of articles written about the impact of Sathya Sai Baba and his message by devotees from India and around the world. There is another word which applies to the concept of Dharma, and that is Sanatana, meaning ancient, timeless.
Many individuals speak of Sanatana Dharma, the ancient, timeless truth of Dharma. But those who have really understood its true form are very few indeed. Sanatana Dharma, or the Sanatana religion, is the very essence of life. It embraces all the religions and shows itself as the universal religion. The Sai organizations have come into existence for the purpose of establishing oneness. The main reason this Sai organization teaches equality and equal-mindedness comes from this aspect of the Sanatana religion, the goal to which all paths aspire and at which all investigations end is this Sanatana religion. People proclaim and preach that one should do good work, utter good words, and have good thoughts. But that kind of thing does not satisfy me. By doing good work alone, one cannot become a good man. It will only be possible for you to do good work if you are good yourself. So the first thing that you should try and do is to become a good person. Then it will be natural that you do good work. The creation of man is the creation of the world. When the individual improves, the community will improve. When people become good, the world will become good.
Just as Dharma is timeless, so is the art of music in a culture which perceives sound as a continuation of the initial vibratory act of creation. Whether representing multiplicity on the 108-string santur as played by Shiv Kumar Sharma, or the unity of the flute's single tone with its infinite number of variations as performed by Hari Prasad Chavesia, it is all one, and that one is God.
To get at the core of God at his greatest, one must first get into the core of himself at his least. For no one can know God who has not known himself.
In parts 1 and 2 of The Universal Teacher, we have seen Sathya Sai Baba amidst his daily activities of giving darshan as he walks among those who have come to him. We have seen the thousands from India and around the world who gathered for the Third World Conference of Sathya Sai service organizations. And over this visual panorama, we have heard some of his words, an introduction to his message. But words and pictures can only convey part of the experience. Because Sathya Sai Baba not only conveys his message in words, but embodies and manifests it as well, the impact of his presence generates tremendous power. Not the power of one who might wish to dictate, manipulate, and control, but the power of love, to console, to encourage, and perhaps most of all, to inspire an inner faith in God and the divine potentiality of life which allows for self-inquiry, self-discipline, and, difficult of human activities, change. One result of Sai Baba's power is that it draws people to him, the devout as well as the curious. And those who come often do not want to leave until they intuitively feel or consciously realize the truth of Baba's words when he says, "I am in your heart," and therefore he is with them no matter where they are. One such group is the college students who have lived in close proximity to Baba and find, upon graduation, that it is time to move on. So a group of the graduates asked for permission to form an alumni group which could meet each year on the day before Sai Baba's birthday. This has become a day of awards, speeches, entertainment, and a celebration of the continuing commitment to the education of minds for the purpose of spiritual growth while living and working in the world.
In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna explained to Arjuna the relationship between the senses, the mind, the intelligence, and the soul. The senses control the body. The mind controls the senses. The intelligence controls the mind. Being closest to the soul, the intelligence best reflects the attributes of the soul, and the influence of the soul falls directly upon the intelligence. Therefore, the intelligence functions as the presiding faculty in man. The human mind is continually engaged in the process of thinking, generating often conflicting impulses. Its fickle nature acts as an impediment to spiritual progress, and therefore it is imperative that every spiritual aspirant gain control over his mind. It is the intelligence alone that has the power to make decisions and discriminate between good and bad. For going about in a chariot, it is the chariot driver who has the most important role to play. Neither the horses that draw the chariot, nor even the owner who is seated therein, is competent to ensure a safe journey. It is the charioteer alone who can do it. If he is not accomplished, the horses will run berserk. Therefore, he must be competent enough and experienced to do his job properly. Krishna said, "Arjuna, your body is a chariot, and your senses are the horses. Your mind acts as the reins, and your intelligence is the driver. If you let your intelligence guide your life's journey, you will reach your ultimate destination safely." Arjuna emerged victorious in the battle because the Lord, the source of all intelligence, was his charioteer. To install the Lord as the charioteer is the most sacred and felicitous means by which we can attain the goal of life. Krishna also said to Arjuna, "The joy which you seek and the self-realization which you aim at are both within you. They cannot be found in the external world. You think that this world and its objects confer happiness on you. This is an illusion. created by your mind. It is only when you follow the intelligence that you will be able to enjoy the bliss of the soul.
On this day, Sai Baba's discourse was followed by a performance by the world-renowned artist Ravi Shankar, accompanied by Ustad Alaraka. Sathya Sai Baba once said of Ravi Shankar's music, "It gives people an experience of bliss, even though they may not be aware of it." And beyond the night sky filled with the fireworks of youthful exuberance, stars look down on an earth where once again mankind is being given the chance to transcend the solemn cycles of its history. The celebration of Sai Baba's birthday is a yearly occurrence. The World Conference of Service Organizations happens once every 5 years. When the two coincide, as they did in 1980, the magnetic field created between Sathya Sai Baba and those who have experienced the power inherent in the practice of his teachings becomes the impetus for intensified practice of spiritual disciplines, more diligent service to those in need, and more open expressions of spiritual love. Sai Baba has expressed his own feelings about such celebrations very clearly.
Do not be under the impression that my birthday is being celebrated and therefore you are coming. Such trivial thoughts can never come into me. My only desire is to share my bliss with you, to encourage you to lead lives full of bliss. I do not consider one particular date in the calendar as my birthday, for I consider the date when divinity blossoms in your heart as my birthday in you. Therefore, each of you should individually celebrate such a day as my birthday. The day when you resolve to practice my advice, to follow my directives, to translate my message into acts of service, and to engage in spiritual disciplines, that day is my birthday for you. The 23rd of November, which you now honor as the day on which I was born, is only like any other day, even if you celebrate it in a routine ritual fashion. Adore man. The adoration reaches me. Neglect man, you neglect me. Of what avail is it to worship the Lord and to suppress man, his counterpart on earth? Love for God must be manifested as love for man, and love must express itself as service. I desire to tell the units of this organization that very soon they will witness the realization of all their ideals. But when success is achieved, as a reaction, carping and denigration also increase. When the well grows deeper, the mound beside it will grow higher. That is quite natural. Some people pay attention to the depth of the well, others watch the height of the mound. I have been telling you one truth always. Your master is your heart, where God resides. You yourself are three persons, not one. The one you think you are, the one others think you are, and the one you really are. The one you really are is God. God is in you, with you, above you, around you, behind you. Differences in name and form are but temporary and external. In reality, all of you are divine.
On his birthday, Sathya Sai Baba was garlanded by devotees whose devotion has expressed itself through service to the various aspects of the Sai organization. Among them were Sri Indulal Shah, convener of the World Conference, Dr. V.K. Gokak, Vice Chancellor of the Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, Sri Lal of the Sathya Sai World Council, Dr. John Hislop, President of the Sathya Sai Council of America. Any gathering of people from around the world is a reminder of the shifting nature of ordinary human alliances. Life takes on new meaning when the earth, all forms of life upon it, and even the cosmos within which it floats is revealed to be the manifestation of the same God, which continues to support and energize it.
Embodiments of love. It is not by plans of one kind or another that the world can be bettered. It is only when a spiritual revolution takes place in man that the prosperity and welfare of the world can be achieved. If the mind of man is not reformed and purified, all the plans to reform the world will be futile. Meditation is the principal means to achieve control over the mind. When we think of meditation, three things are involved: the person who meditates, the object of meditation, and the process of meditation itself. In true meditation, all these three should merge. For one who desires to begin the practice, it is advisable that light is taken as the object of the meditation. Light does not perish or change. Moreover, it is inexhaustible. There are three states relating to the mind: emptiness, the simultaneous pulls of multiple thoughts, and one-pointedness. In this process of meditation on light, the progression must be from restlessness to tranquility, and from tranquility to divine effulgence. One should sit erect, fixing the gaze on the gentle flame, and gradually closing the eyes, mentally transfer or absorb the flame into the heart. The lotus center of the spiritual heart can be imagined as blossoming in effulgent beauty, dispelling with its radiance the dark forces of life. One should then imagine that out of the heart so illumined, rays of light proceed gradually to all parts of the body, suffusing everything with light and imbuing it with sacredness and purity all over. The whole process takes about 20 to 30 minutes to complete. This kind of meditation should not be regarded as an exercise in fantasy. No doubt in the beginning, imagination will be involved, but by constant practice it will be transformed into a powerful thought wave, creating an indelible impression on the heart, leading to union with God. The meditation should not end with the individual visualizing the light in himself. He should see it in his friends and relatives, and even in his enemies. He should see the whole of creation bathed in the resplendent light of divinity. This would make him live a life full of love and happiness. Embodiments of the divine reduce your selfishness, lessen your wrong desires, foster your spirit of sacrifice, grow into noble human beings. If you dedicate yourself to these objectives, you will have realized the purpose for which you have attended this great world conference and this birthday celebration.
Dr. Hislop, President of the American Council, will now present a 16 millimetre sound film under the title The Aura of Divinity. The Council intends to present 16 copies for distribution to the various Sathya Sai organizations in the states of India.
Beloved Deva, it gives us great pleasure in America to make this small gift to our Indian Sai family. On behalf of the entire foreign delegations, our heartfelt thanks for the endless hospitality that has been offered to the foreign delegates and the great kindness in the hearts of the Indian people, which has been expressed again and again to us as a group and to us individually. India.
The second function of the birthday opened with a concert. For the final event of the birthday, Sai Baba received the offerings of musicians while seated on the jhula, a custom unfamiliar to Westerners, but a ceremonial tradition in India. Sai Baba once explained this practice by saying it symbolizes the swinging of a newborn child in its cradle and the spiritual rebirth that occurs when an individual recognizes the presence of God within.
The Lord is not something outside you or extraneous to you. He is your own divine reality, which you can cognize in the silence of your own meditation when you shut out of your awareness the distraction of the senses, the mind, and the ego. In creation, in the objective world, no one article is like any other. No two human beings are similar in every respect, nor is the individual the same for any length of time. The infant becomes a child, an adolescent, an adult, and soon becomes middle-aged and then old. In one single day, the individual is changed into a wakeful person, a dreamer, and a sleeper. So mankind must seek refuge in the changeless, universal soul, from which all variety emerges and into which it merges. The world is as much God as heaven is. There are no two distinct entities or categories called material and spiritual. All distinctions are apparent, not real. The scriptures of different creeds, the Bible, the Quran, the Upanishads, the Zendavesta, appear different, but their aim is the same: to establish the brotherhood of man and the fatherhood of God as the basis for the peace of mankind. No creed need put on airs of superiority, as each is shaped by the compulsions of time and space, of language and levels of experience. You are all members of the same family, bound by the religion of love.
And when the birthday is past, the lights and trappings of celebration are taken down, and the ashram returns to that calm which fosters each individual search for truth, righteousness, peace, and love within the aura of the universal teacher.